Welcome back. Before the break, we were talking to our distinguished guest today about the current situation in some South Asian countries, particularly Bangladesh, you see. And about Bangladesh, we were talking about the incidents that took place recently at the beginning of this month in Gulshan. And that has created quite a panic among the masses, and I've been told that some of the restaurants are not being visited, so it has disturbed the social life of people in that particular area. See? We also touched upon something, that how can the international community and organizations like Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, and other organizations can help, like even United Nations, how can they help to ease the situation and also conduct an independent inquiry into the whole mess?
Absolutely, yes. Well, all of us have a number of options.
Right.
So the first option is to keep quiet, not say anything.
Okay.
Who will benefit from that?
And hope that the devil will go away.
The people who will benefit from that are governments and security agencies, right, because they are already pushing us to be quiet anyway. So that option is not a good option.
Let me be clear, it's not specific to Bangladesh, it's
No,
specific to any country, but it is the general rule in most countries where people have absolute power.
Governments have power, and why is it that governments in all of the countries, dictatorial governments, autocratic governments, governments who don't abide by the rule of law, why is it that they don't want people to talk? Because the power of word. We have to speak. And I, in the 30 or so period of my time that I was working on human rights, I'm still really a human rights defender. During this period, I found out that when you say something, it goes somewhere. So I think, the more we say, the better it will be for the future of democracy in all of these countries. Because some of the governments, they are trying to stop people from talking. They put pressure on the media, they imprison people who speak. People who actually are taken into detention, they don't have any guns. They've just written something in a newspaper, and then they are taken into detention.
So dangerous.
Why is it? Because the governments know that when you speak, it undermines them. So they will. So because of that, if we live in a country, or we are focusing on a country that really tries to impose restrictions on freedom of expression, that is when people actually should even speak more. They speak their mind.
Right.
If they are critical of the authorities, they should speak that. So that is really when you achieve something.
Yeah, I mean, in political science, I mean, you have read and I have read that power corrupts, see, and absolute power corrupts, absolutely, see. But then you have to have the power, because a law has to be backed by the power of the authority of the government.
Absolutely.
If there's no force, nobody's going to accept. We stop at the red light because we know that there's a camera there somewhere, and if we...
Some people stop at the red light.
Yes.
Not everybody does.
Well, I'm talking about myself.
Of course, and me. I stop actually.
We stop because we are scared that there is a camera somewhere, somebody will report, and then we will be penalized for that, see. That authority has to be there somewhere, see. But if it's just too much, even if we cross the green lights and if we are penalized for that, then that is corruption of power.
Of course. And that is the problem. That's the problem. And really this example of red light is a very important example. So I mean, let's just think of different scenarios that could happen. So you could be in a country where you've actually crossed the red light. You did not stop. You just went through. And then the officer comes and says, "Oh, I want to find you." And then you say, "Look, why should you find me?
Let's settle it.
Let's settle it." So then you settle that. So in that country, the level of corruption is high, so it can work like that. You go to another country where the officer is not corrupt. So, I mean,
Well, there's no officer on the screen at all.
yeah, I mean,
You'll
because
be-
they've gone to do something else. But the main thing, Niaz, as you and I both know, is that we've got three powers in every state. And those three powers have got to be independent. If they are not independent, then we have a problem. So one is the judiciary, one is the executive. When we talk about the executive, of course, we talk about the government, as you know, we talk about the police, we talk about, you know, all the law enforcement agencies. So they have to be independent. The judiciary has got to be independent, and the legislative body. Why have these got to be independent?
Independent and representative.
Absolutely, because they have to impose check and balances on each other. So if, for example, there's a police officer and says, you crossed the red light, then you go to an independent judiciary and say, look, you know, I didn't cross the red light. He's not telling the truth. But in some of the countries, some of the governments, unfortunately, and it is really sad because they are not thinking of the future development of their country. They are only thinking about one thing. So they undermine the judiciary.
Right.
How do they undermine the judiciary? In my experience, and this is not just related to Bangladesh, all of the governments are really guilty of this. They try to put their people, you know, their own cronies, into positions of authority within the judiciary, so that when they want a special verdict judgment to be given, that judgment is given.
They'll be
So
obliged.
yeah, so that is that. And then another check and balance has got to be the parliament. So the parliament has got to say, look, you know, even if you are a member of the ruling party, you've got to behave in a certain way.
Right.
And you can't just, you know, bypass the law. If you bypass the law, if the law doesn't actually stop you, we will change the law, make sure that it stops you. But, you know, in most of the dictatorial, autocratic countries, unfortunately, we don't have an independent parliament. In most of these countries, the judiciary and the parliament become extensions of the executive.
Right.
And that is where the problem
lies, yes.
lies.
But my question was, I need to take a break again. Okay, gentlemen and ladies, we need to have a commercial break right now, and when we come back, we will distinguished guest today, Mr. Abbas Faiz. Thank you. Don't go away. We'll be back soon.